Joining me now is Dan Mitchell, senior fellow at the Cato Institute. He has a fantastic piece up, good news and good laughs for supporters of the Second Amendment. Dan, you start off by saying, I almost feel sorry for the gun control crowd. Why on earth?
It's bad news for them. You look at the recent New York Times poll where a majority of Americans are now in favor of so-called assault weapons. You look at what's happened with the president trying to turn these terrorist attacks into an argument for gun control, and the American people are rejecting this because they realize that sometimes the best defense is to have citizens with concealed carry. And I think they must be pulling their hair out. They must be thinking, oh, my God, why aren't people agreeing with us? Why aren't they trying to all rally around the idea of confiscating people's guns like in Australia or the United Kingdom? So I actually think in most cases, I'm a libertarian pessimist. Oh, government's going to get bigger. We're going to become Greece and so on and so forth. But on this issue, I actually think we haven't completely crossed the finish line, but I definitely think we're winning. And that has to really bother them because these cultural issues to the left are very iconic and important. And I bet some of these people are crying themselves to sleep about the fact that they somehow can't break through this resistance, this liberty spirit with the American people.
Yes, and the New York Times, their poll of all media outlets that would poll this issue. And you also made this very important note as well. You wrote that these results are especially remarkable because a lot of people who don't own firearms, I mean, that was the question, do you favor or oppose an assault weapons ban? They think that assault weapons, as you wrote, that probably refers to a fully automatic, refers to a machine gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you talk to the average person who's not a gun owner, they do think that that an automatic, a semi-automatic, and they show these pictures of what look like machine guns. And people, of course, watch these movies on TV and these TV shows, and they think, okay, wow, there are people spraying bullets just by holding their finger on the trigger. And for the American people to now, I think by a 14-point margin, say they want those guns to be legal when they actually think they're machine guns, that's a remarkable finding because normally, as I'm sure you realize, the media try to phrase these questions to get pro-gun control answers, and that's not even working anymore.
Well, and one of the biggest lies of 2015 and I know it's, I usually like citing sources when I know it's, they revere these sources. Something like Washington Post, they had their fact checker, and they said that these groups, that one of the biggest lies of 2015 was there's a school shooting every week, and they said, no, where did you guys get your sources? And they even said it's faulty data that they chose just because it supported their agenda. And so did they just jump the shark and people have really seen that these groups and these people who are really against the Second Amendment, that they'll just do anything basically to try to one up somebody or get their agenda out there? I mean, what is really contributing to this? The terror threat?
I think there's a boy who cried wolf angle to this. We've seen now for going on almost 7 years, Obama with every single thing that happens. It doesn't have to be terrorism or something like that. It could be that, oh, it's cloudy today. He comes out and says we need gun control. And after 7 years, with Obama saying the answer to every single problem, you have dandelions in your lawn, we need gun control. I think the people are they've tuned him out on this issue. And so for Obama to now try to exploit this terrorist attack in San Bernardino, I think the American people realize, well, we've heard this line from him before, and especially when we're now seeing evidence that the federal government was so spectacularly incompetent that it didn't even check the social media posts of the wife involved in the shooting. That's just amazing. We're letting people in who are openly pro-jihad. We're not giving them really any vetting that we should be giving them. And this is what's amazing, because if you're a small government conservative or a libertarian, you don't hate government. You want it to be smaller because you want it to be effective at doing the few things that government should be doing. But because we have this bloated Leviathan in Washington, where whatever talent we have in government is spread so thin that even in the areas where we want effective government, we're not getting it. And that Obama wants to blame gun owners. And what was really amazing, The White House press spokesman admitted that nothing that Obama is calling for would have stopped any of these shootings, and they've admitted every single mass shooting we've had, either by a terrorist or just some American nutcase, none of these people were on these no-fly lists.
Yes.
So Obama is just, he's just reaching into his bag of tricks, but it's the same trick every time. Let's trample the Second Amendment and put Americans in danger by disarming law-abiding people. And I think Americans are sick of it.
Absolutely. Well, these polls absolutely show it, one right after the other, and the New York Times still, wow, it's impressive. Dan Mitchell, Senior Fellow at the Cato Institute. Dan, always good to see you.